I am so glad you are with us here today on Josh's NFC West breakdowns because this was an incredible game between the 7-2 Rams and the 7-2 Seattle Seahawks. Matt Stafford, Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua, but it was the defenses that stole the show in this game. Let's get right into the film. This game was a close, exciting battle between two good teams, something everybody expected, but I don't think it went the way anybody expected. And true to form, this opening drive was unexpected too. We saw a lot of interesting and unique things. Here, I stopped it because Xavier Smith makes the catch, Devin Witherspoon comes over to make the hit, and to me, this looked pretty ordinary. Now, there is a rule that says you cannot punish a downed player. You have to tag them. And I'm sure people are pulling their hair out right now. Did he just say tag him? Yes, that's what the rule says. But it's not really for this situation. It's for when somebody gives themselves up, they don't want a defender to come in and absolutely clobber them. That's not what happened here. And the official closest to the play doesn't throw the flag. Instead, we see on the very last frame of video here, the flag comes in way across from an official further away on the play, who ruled that this was unnecessary roughness on the Seattle Seahawks. The strangeness would continue when later on in the drive, Kyren Williams on 3rd and 6 would appear to have a first down. Now the officials spot him short. We do have another angle of this here. It's still a little bit hard to tell whether he's got that first down or not. Sean McVay would challenge this, and we've got a great view here from the camera on the sideline now. And I've stopped it here because this is the last frame of video where you can completely see the ball. You have to have irrefutable evidence to overturn a call. We've got the line that shows right where the first down is, and then we have the line that shows right where the front of the football is. And you can see there's just a sliver in between the two, and then we don't see what happens after that. So by rule, the officials had to stay with the call on the field, bringing up a 4th down in inches. That's how far they have to go. Now, ordinarily, you could run the ball or quarterback sneak it here, no problem. If it's 4th and a yard or a yard plus, then you might consider maybe throwing a pass or maybe even running it still. If the Rams hand the ball off to Kyren Williams here, he probably gets the first down. I think LA got a little too cute and tried to fool the Seattle defense, which they did. LA has Devontae Adams and Tyler Higbee open here, but the pressure from Nwosu forces the errant pass from Matt Stafford, and the Seattle Seahawks would take over on downs. Wow. But the strangeness would continue when just 2 plays later, Sam Darnold would stare down his receiver, friend of the program, Cooper Kupp. Meanwhile, Cameron Kinchens is reading Sam Darnold the whole way. And the pass is intercepted by Los Angeles, and then Kinchens puts up a nice return and is brought down just short of the goal line. Darnold gets to the back of his drop, and then we see an extra hitch, and then he moves again, and then he's late, falling away, throws this ball up into the waiting arms of Kinchens, who makes him pay. The Rams appear to be set up beautifully, but the Seattle defense would rise to the occasion again, stopping LA on 1st down, 2nd down, and 3rd down, bringing up a 4th down and goal. And finally, they're able to punch it in with Kyren Williams. After the ill-fated 4th and 1 pass on the previous drive, here the Rams run 4 straight times down at the goal line, and it worked. So the Rams go up 6-0, and then of course they have the opportunity to try a point after touchdown, and I've circled the kicker here, number 92. That's an odd number for a kicker. That's Harrison Mevis. I don't have to tell Rams fans that there's been some struggles in the kicking game this year, so LA brought in another kicker. They make the unusual step of having 2 kickers on the active roster until Joshua Carty can get back in shape essentially and ready to go. Here he makes the extra point, but just file this away for later. So Seattle is down 7-0 on the scoreboard, but despite the oddness of how those first points played out, this is still essentially their first drive of the game. Their first meaningful drive anyway. They can still utilize, all of the scripted plays that they had planned on using, including running the football. So when they fake the handoff to Ken Walker here, naturally it draws the attention of Nate Landman, allowing the leading receiver in the NFL, Jackson Smith-Njigba, to open up behind him. Now, Omar Spates was also in the area, so why wasn't he able to pick up JSN? Well, he's keeping his eye on the tight end, who appears to be Sam Darnold's first read on the play. So when the Rams take that away, Darnold moves on to his next read, Cooper Kupp. Doesn't like what he sees. So finally he comes back to JSN, a well-designed play. As the drive continues, Seattle lines up with 1 tight end, a fullback, and a running back in the formation. This looks like it's going to be a running play. So LA commits 8 defenders to the box to try to stop the run, leaving just 1 safety back deep. And on the other side of the field, Kobe Durant gives the receiver a lot of space. He's defending Jackson Smith-Njigba with no safety help on that side of the field. He knows how dangerous JSN is. He's not going to give up a long touchdown. He backs way off. So, at the snap of the football, Sam Darnold just swings it out to JSN, who takes the space the defense left behind. Now the drive would stall, so Seattle would attempt a field goal attempt, but this is going to be a long one. You can see Myers is standing on the logo. This is 57 yards, and the kick is good with some room to spare. So the Rams get the ball up 7-3, and here we see another old friend of the program, Ernest Jones. And he's looking off to the side, getting back into position. And on the other side, we see Devin Witherspoon. He's lined up tight against Puka Nacua. We know how dangerous Nacua is too. He actually has more receptions than JSN, if you can believe that. And he's playing him tight, but now he's got to scramble to stay with him. So neither one of these guys see the play unfold in the backfield, and that's unfortunate because LA has made the well-timed play call of the screen pass. And it's not a screen pass to the running back, it's the tight end screen to Tyler Higbee. With nobody there to make the tackle, Higbee gains 23 yards on what was a 1st and 20 play. Wow. The Rams would continue moving the ball down the field, but here they are facing a big 4th down and 1, and you can see they are lined up to go for it. Let's talk about the game situation. The ball is on the 35-yard line. You know, the end zone is 10 yards deep, plus you snap the football back 7 yards to your kicker, so this would be about a 52-yard field goal here. And remember, they are using a newly signed kicker. They don't have their regular kicker, Joshua Carty, out there, so they decide not to attempt the field goal here. Regardless of who is kicking the football, the analytics seem to independently support the decision to go for it. Again, they hand it off to Williams. He gets the first down. Big hole to run through. Makes a man miss in the open field. North and south, and he is just brought down by Eamon Warry. Wow. Now, earlier in the game, we were praising outstanding defender Nwosu, but here Colby Parkinson does a great job of blocking him here. A difficult task for a tight end. and then Kobe Bryant overruns the play. So once again, LA has to find a way to get this thing into the end zone, and now it's their turn to line up with 2 tight ends and a running back in the formation. This again looks like it's going to be a running play, and the Seattle defense reacts accordingly, leaving Davante Adams one-on-one. Adams takes a single step to the outside, and he is way too good of a receiver. Rick Woolen has to respect this move, and when he does, that allows Adams to cut back to the inside. Touchdown LA, and pretty quickly here, the Rams have taken a 14-3 lead in this game. So Seattle gets the ball back, and here they line up in the offset I formation. Again, it looks like a running play, but this time the Rams play this a little bit more conservatively. In fact, for the rest of the game, they would really hang back on defense, forcing Sam Darnold to dink and dunk his way down the field. With a lead in the game, there's some logic behind this bend but don't break defense, and the Rams would force Seattle into another field goal attempt. The Seahawks do score, but they still trail 14-6. All right, let's move ahead to the second quarter. We're going to pick things up with 7:47 left in the first half. So not quite halfway through the second quarter, and it's Ken Walker with a big gain right off the bat. Right before the snap, the Seahawks put one of their tight ends in motion, and faced with the difficult task of blocking the outstanding outside linebacker Jared Verse, the Seahawks make the unique decision to double team him with 2 tight ends. This allows the left tackle, Charles Cross, to get up the field. Now, if you've been following this channel, you'll know that we've covered a number of spectacular catches by JSN, including this beautiful one-handed catch against San Francisco in his rookie season, no less. Well, here we see Sam Darnold winding up to throw this football. The safety is too far away to do any good, and JSN is able to get by Darius Williams. And again, he makes a one-handed catch down the sideline. Unbelievable. Sometimes you just have to tip your cap to the opponent. After the rookie tight end Nick Callerup comes up with a catch, Seattle finds themselves in a 4th-and-1 situation. So here they bring in the more experienced A.J. Barner. Well, why do I say it like that? Take a look at who's lined up in the backfield. Sam Darnold is in the backfield. A.J. Barner is under center for Seattle's version of the tush push. Seattle picks up the first down, and if you're thinking this is a long drive, you'd be right. The Seahawks are taking a bunch of time off the clock here, and with less than a minute to go, they're going to try to get this thing into the end zone. On first down, once again, they face the difficult task of trying to block Jared Verse, and this time they use the rookie fullback Robbie Outs. And I'm sorry, that's just a bridge too far. Jared Verse is way too good of a player to try something like that with, and he comes up with the stop. On second down, the Seahawks do complete a pass, but only for a few yards. They inch their way closer, but are still short of the goal. So now it's third down, and Darnold makes the very understandable decision to read the right side of the field and the route of Jackson Smith and Jigba. It might look like Cooper Kupp is open here, but Darnold isn't reading that side of the field. Eventually, when Darnold would switch over, A.J. Barner would come uncovered, but by then, the pass rush for LA has gotten through, and Sam Darnold would eventually be forced to throw this football away, bringing up 4th down. Kobe Turner gets to the inside, and Byron Young would power through the double team. And the final nail in the coffin is Verse, forcing a 4th down, and Seattle makes the bitter decision to kick as time expires in the first half. It took me 3 days to make this video because I really wanted to take the time and do it right, because this was just such an incredible game. If you could give me just 10 seconds and hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. If you want to support the channel in any way, there's links in the description, including a Patreon page where, folks, we have tiers starting as low as $2 a month. All right, I want to thank you all for your support. Let's get right back to the game. Now, the good thing for Seattle is, remember that whole first drive where a lot of funny things were happening? The Rams had possession of the football, so the Seahawks will get the football to start the second half. I've stopped it here, though, because once again, Sam Darnold is under tremendous pressure from Byron Young. He tries to sling this football out to JSN, but Kobe Durant is in excellent position here. He reads this the whole way, and the pass is intercepted by the Rams. You might think that the most natural way to rush the passer would be to rush straight ahead, but here Byron Young comes to the inside, and Seattle has had a number of problems at that right guard position. Anthony Bradford never sees this coming.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Perhaps reeling a little bit, Mike McDonald makes the decision to mix things up on defense. He puts 5 men up at the line of scrimmage, but this is just simulated pressure. Ernest Jones is going to drop back, and we all know how talented of a player Ernest Jones is. Nevertheless, a linebacker like him is no match for one of the best receivers in the NFL, Puka Nacua. And Nacua fumbles the football, and the Seahawks recover. Oh my goodness, what is going on in this game? What do we make of all this? Well, here's what to make of it. You know, the lead up to this game was the match between JSN and Nacua and the potential MVP candidates Sam Darnold and Matt Stafford. But the defenses ruled the day. These are two really good defensive teams, and you're seeing it here on the film. Ken Walker averaged 4.2 yards per carry in this game, and after a bad pick by Sam Darnold, LA sensed that Seattle might go back to the run. So when the Seahawks fake it to him here, 7 players on the Rams react, and Rashid Shaheed finds himself one-on-one, no pun intended. And here Emmanuel Forbes does the right thing. He makes sure he doesn't get beat deep on the play, allowing Shaheed to cut to the sideline. Now, look, this is pretty far down the field. These defenders are going to have the ability to react when that football is in the air. Nevertheless, Sam Darnold drops this one in the bucket. Let's go back to the snap. From this angle, we get a great look at something I really like from Sam Darnold here. He doesn't try to throw this on the run. Instead, he stops and sets his feet first. And yeah, you know, after the negative play that just happened, the ability to forget that, come out, stop, set your feet, and make a great throw into a tight window. That is just plain an impressive throw by Sam Darnold. Now, if you're thinking, geez, we're sure looking at a lot of Seahawks plays on this game that the Rams won, well, you'd be right. Seattle dominated time of possession in this game. Part of the reason why was the Rams' successful strategy of keeping players back deep at all times, forcing Seattle to just chip away slowly. And it does give the Seahawks the opportunity to do this on the ground. They want to force those defensive backs to come up and make tackles. The Seahawks would call 4 consecutive runs, and on the 4th run, Ken Walker bounces to the outside, finds daylight, and finally gets into the end zone for a desperately desired touchdown. But oh, there's a flag down. Are you kidding me? Let's take a look. From this angle, we can see the gap, but when Omar Spates rushes to fill the hole, Ken Walker bounces to the outside and Nick Hampton would pursue, and the officials ruled that Nick Callerup, the rookie, holds. Now, this was a really tough call by the officials. Nevertheless, you can't undo it, so Seattle makes the bitter decision again to settle for the field goal, but they do pull closer, making the score Seattle 12, LA 14. But now the Rams would get the ball with a chance to expand on their lead. Here, though, the Rams are facing a 3rd down and 15, and the Seattle defense is probably too good for the Rams to just try to call a deep route to pick this up. So here, Sean McVay makes the shrewd play call of the wide receiver screen to Puka Nacua, getting the ball into the hands of one of his best playmakers, and it almost works. Look how close this comes to being a 1st down. And you could go for it here, but with the lead in the game and his defense playing well, McVay makes the decision to punt back to the Seahawks. And this decision would pay off for Sean McVay. Once again, the Rams defense hangs back, giving the tight end Elijah Arroyo the opportunity to cut to the inside. But Elijah Arroyo is just a rookie, and here he runs the wrong route. When Sam Darnold puts this football to where he thinks Arroyo is going to be, Cameron Kinchens makes him pay. It is the 3rd interception of the game for this Rams defense, and this one sets LA up beautifully. Seattle can't be too sure of what LA is doing here. They line up with a tight end and 2 wide receivers very tight to the line of scrimmage, and then they put Jordan Whittington in motion, removing a defender from that side of the field. This looks like a run, and the Seattle defense reacts accordingly. On the other side of the formation, though, Colby Parkinson hits and then comes wide open for a pass. Why didn't the defensive back pick him up? Because he's worried about Puka Nacua. Parkinson shakes off a tackle, gets past Woolen, and gets into the end zone for a huge touchdown in this defensive game. The Rams go up 21-12, a 9-point lead, and importantly, a 2-score lead in the 4th quarter. Los Angeles has no reason to change what they're doing on defense, but here they do have 2 players defending Cooper Kupp. Rashid Shaheed should be able to come open over the middle, but the pass rush for the Rams once again puts pressure on Sam Darnold. He tries to throw the Frankie Albert jump pass, and it is intercepted! Intercepted again, the 4th INT for the Rams defense in this game. Wow. We're going to move a little further ahead here. I want to show you another great play by Nwosu on a short yardage situation. I'm going to highlight him. Here he is. He just wrecks this play in the backfield. Seattle comes up with a stop, and then we're going to move ahead again because with just 2 minutes and 23 seconds left in the game, the Seahawks are finally able to get into the end zone. Ken Walker finds pay dirt, but is it too late for the Seahawks? Well, let's talk about the game situation. The Seahawks trail by only 2 points now, 21-19, with just over 2 minutes to play. The Rams want to call a play that will take time off the clock, but they still want to have the ball in the hands of dynamic playmakers. So once again, McVay comes up with a great play call, and this time it's the jet sweep to Puka Nacua. Play gains 18 yards, and Seattle is forced to take their first timeout. With the ball at midfield and time on their side, the Rams keep it on the ground, taking the game to the 2-minute warning. With all of these same factors in play, they go back to the jet sweep with Nacua, this time to the opposite side, but Seattle is ready. The play is stopped for no gain, but the Seahawks have to take their second timeout. So now it's third down, and what would you do if you're LA? Would you run the ball and force the Seahawks to use their last timeout, or would you try to pick up the yardage and win the game right here? You know, if the Rams were up by a touchdown, or if the Seahawks needed a touchdown to win the game, I could understand running the ball, forcing the Seahawks to use that last timeout, force them to get into the end zone with no timeouts. That's usually very difficult, but here the Seahawks would only need a field goal. So I actually think it makes sense for the Rams to call a pass here. I like this play call by Sean McVay. Stafford reads the right side of the field. There's nobody open, so he comes back to Davante Adams, and he makes a bit of a safe throw here. He tries to throw it away from the defense. Him and Adams just don't quite connect here, and the pass falls incomplete, which does stop the clock for Seattle. And with just 1 minute 50 seconds left in the game, Ethan Evans gets off one of the best punts I have ever seen. Talk about coffin corner. It's not very often I'm going to say this on this channel. This is a game-winning punt for the Rams. Look where the Seahawks are starting with the football. The Rams defense hangs back. They are going to force Seattle to fight for every yard on this drive. Darnold has to dink and dunk. It is complete to A.J. Barner, but he goes down inbounds and the clock runs. Tick, tick, tick. Just over a minute to go now, and the pass is complete again. He gets the first down, but he's inbounds and the clock is running, and they are so far away. I really, in my heart of hearts, believe they should have spiked the ball here. I know they're only on the 11-yard line, but I think you have to stop the clock here. They don't. They take a lot of time getting up to the line and calling another play. They take the deep shot to the sideline. I like the play call. Oh, and that was close. That was close to... It falls incomplete, though, which does stop the clock. Okay, pass complete to JSN. He's got the first down, but again, inbounds, and this is with just 40 seconds left. You've got to spike this football here. I know they still have a timeout in their back pocket, but you need to save that timeout for your field goal attempt, as we'll see later on in this drive. Instead, they try to call a play at the line, and 20 seconds run off the clock. Oh my goodness. They finally get one again to the sideline, this time to Jackson Smith-Njigba, who goes out of bounds and stops the clock with just 17 seconds left. An incompletion would run another 7 seconds off, so with just 10 seconds now, they go back to the sideline route in JSN, and it's Emmanuel Forbes trying to defend him this time. He gets a little too handsy with him, and the officials call pass interference, which gives the Seahawks an automatic first down at the spot of the foul and stops the clock with just 5 seconds left. Now they still have the timeout, so they can get a quick completion. Oh, but this just seems sloppy. Oh, they barely get it. You see the official run in here. They barely get the timeout with 1 second left. And we can see where they ended up. The ball is on the 43-yard line here, and you add 10 yards like we talked about earlier. That's 53, and they snap it back just over 7 yards. So officially, this is going to be a 61-yard attempt. That is too long for a game-winning attempt here. Oh, what Seattle wouldn't give for just a few more plays. This is why I say they should have spiked the ball earlier in the drive. But remember, Myers made a 57-yarder earlier in the game, but the kick is no good, and the Rams win and take a huge momentum win into sole possession of first place in the NFC West. Wow. Wow, what a finish. What an unbelievable finish. And, Seattle gets a lot of credit in the media for the outstanding play of their defense. I don't know that Los Angeles is getting enough credit for the way their defense is playing. Sam Darnold, a quarterback rating of just 45 in this game. Matt Stafford only completed just over 50% of his passes, so tough games for the quarterbacks. The defense has really played outstanding. Seattle dominated in time of possession. What was the difference in the game? Those 4 interceptions by the Rams defense. Very impressive. All right, folks, if you are a member of the Patreon page, I want to thank you so much. You make it possible for me to take the time to do these videos right, to give you the quality that you deserve. I truly appreciate it. You humble me and you honor me. Thank you so much. Okay, what's next for these teams? Well, the Los Angeles Rams, I'm going to show you their schedule here. They've got a home game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are a pretty good team. Baker Mayfield was talked about earlier as an MVP candidate. I would think it's safe to say Matt Stafford has surpassed him there. The Bucs have struggled as of late, and this game is in LA. I like the Rams in this game. And take a look, go all the way back. There are only 2 losses against the Philadelphia Eagles, where they were lining up for the game-winning field goal, should have won that game, and against the San Francisco 49ers, where they were in the red zone threatening to win that game as well. So LA could easily be undefeated right now. They might be the strongest team in the NFL. I think the NFC is definitely stronger than the AFC this year. Los Angeles has to be considered a legitimate Super Bowl contender right now. For the Seattle Seahawks, they are on the road at the Tennessee Titans. I like the Seattle to win in that game as well and keep the pressure up in the NFC West. And these 2 teams will meet again, and what a treat that is going to be. All right. I don't know what's going to happen in those games, but we are going to be here to break down the film, and I will see you guys then.